I speak to you today on behalf of all my family. That promise of lifelong service I renew to you all today.
For decades, King Charles has guarded royal protocol with careful silence, but at 77, that silence appears to be cracking. Behind the pageantry and polite smiles, a startling revelation has reportedly surfaced.
So you can't be the same as the sovereign if you're the Prince of Wales or the heir.
One that has left courtiers uneasy and insiders whispering. This isn't about seating arrangements or tradition. It's about exclusion. As preparations for the inevitable quietly take shape, one name has allegedly been crossed out. Who is it? And why does the king not want them there? The truth may be more disturbing than expected. No place for Prince Andrew. When Prince William eventually ascends the throne, he is expected to draw a much firmer line than his father, King Charles, ever did. According to a report by the Sunday Times, William intends to completely cut his uncle, Prince Andrew, out of royal life, leaving no room for compromise, appearances, or quiet exceptions. Prince Andrew, 65, has spent the last few years under a heavy cloud of controversy following his association with the late Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender. The damage to his public image and to the reputation of the monarchy has been deep and lasting. For many observers, the situation has symbolized a long struggle within the royal family between tradition, loyalty, and accountability. That tension reached a turning point on October 17th when Prince Andrew released a formal statement announcing that he would step away from his royal titles and honors. While the decision appeared sudden to the public, it was anything but. According to sources familiar with the matter, the move followed intense internal discussions involving senior members of the royal family, including both King Charles and Prince William. The choice was described as seismic, a word that reflects just how serious and far-reaching the consequences are. A palace insider revealed that King Charles and Prince William were aligned in supporting Andrew's withdrawal from his remaining royal roles. On the surface, this suggested unity between father and son, yet behind closed doors, their views may not be entirely the same. While Charles reportedly sees the October 17th decision as a sufficient response for now, William is believed to feel that it does not go far enough. According to the Sunday Times, Prince William holds a much stricter vision for the future of the monarchy, one that leaves no place for Andrew at all.
There's a really big urgent message, and you know, I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about the urgency or the big issues.
When William becomes king, the report says, Andrew will be banned from every part of royal life, both public and private. This would mean no appearances at royal ceremonies, no behind-the-scenes family gatherings tied to royal duties, and no presence at key state events. Most strikingly, the report suggests that Andrew would be excluded, even from moments traditionally reserved for close family, such as King Charles' funeral and William's own coronation. Such exclusions would be unprecedented in modern royal history and underline just how determined William is to protect the image and credibility of the crown. While this approach may appear harsh, those close to William say it reflects his understanding of a changing world. Public trust in institutions, especially ancient ones like the monarchy, is increasingly fragile. William is said to believe that the royal family can no longer afford to be seen as shielding its own at the expense of moral responsibility. The plan to fully remove Andrew from royal life is reportedly not a rebellion against his father, but rather a long-term agreement between them. Charles, aware of his son's future role, may be allowing William to shape the monarchy he will one day lead, even if that means taking steps Charles himself was unwilling or unable to take during his reign. In many ways, this moment highlights the contrast between two generations. King Charles has often been viewed as cautious and bound by tradition, while Prince William is seen as more decisive and responsive to public sentiment. His stance on Andrew appears to reflect a broader desire to modernize the monarchy, redefine its values, and set clearer boundaries. As the royal family looks ahead, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Under King William, there will be little tolerance for anything that threatens the dignity or integrity of the crown. For Prince Andrew, that likely means a future entirely removed from royal life, permanently and without exception. What prompted this decision from King Charles and Prince William? What transpired between Andrew and the king? Let's delve into the details of the rift that will bar Andrew from his brother's funeral. Prince Andrew versus King Charles.
The one that makes the decisions we've put together. I think that's a great deal safer than me doing it.
Former Duke of York, Prince Andrew, is once again at the center of royal controversy, this time over a bitter housing dispute that has reportedly put him at odds with his older brother, King Charles III. The issue revolves around Andrew's expected departure from Royal Lodge, his longtime residence, following the removal of his royal titles and public duties. What might have been a quiet, private family matter now appears to have turned into a tense standoff filled with frustration, entitlement, and eyebrow-raising demands. According to royal commentator Helena Chard, Prince Andrew and King Charles are said to be at loggerheads, a phrase that suggests a deep and stubborn disagreement. Speaking to Fox News Digital, Chard explained that Andrew believes he has fully cooperated with every request made of him regarding Royal Lodge. In his mind, he has done his part, and he feels shocked and hurt by how events are unfolding. Andrew is reportedly struggling to come to terms with the idea of giving up Royal Lodge, a home he considers deeply personal and emotionally significant. The lease, according to those close to the situation, is still valid, which only adds to his sense of injustice. To him, this is not just about moving houses. It feels like yet another loss in a long series of public and private setbacks. He believes he deserves to be treated fairly, especially after years of living under intense scrutiny and reduced status. The frustration appears to have grown even stronger as Andrew faces what he sees as a forced downgrade in his living conditions. Royal Lodge, after all, is no ordinary home. Being asked to leave it has reportedly left him feeling cornered and humiliated. As a result, he is said to be making some very bold requests for whatever home comes next. Chard claims that Andrew is now demanding a large replacement property, specifically a 6 or 7 bedroom house on the Sandringham estate. But the house itself is only part of the picture. Andrew allegedly expects to maintain the full lifestyle he has always known. This includes a private cook, a housekeeper, a gardener, a driver, and ongoing police security. In short, while he may no longer hold royal titles, he does not see himself living anything close to an ordinary life. The royal expert went further, suggesting that Andrew, though now technically a private citizen, has never learned how to live like one. After decades of being cared for by palace systems and staff, the idea of managing daily life independently may be completely unfamiliar to him. Chard even hinted that, left on his own, Andrew might struggle with basic self-management. From this perspective, she suggested it may actually be easier for King Charles to quietly fund his brother's care and accommodation. Doing so, she implied, would allow the king to keep a close watch on Andrew, limit public embarrassment, and reduce the risk of further controversies that could reflect badly on the monarchy. Adding more fuel to the story, another royal commentator, Rob Shooter, made even more dramatic claims earlier. According to Shooter, Andrew is not simply resisting the move, he is actively refusing it. In his words, Andrew is practically supergluing himself to the furniture, a vivid image that captures just how unwilling he is to leave Royal Lodge. Shooter went on to claim that Andrew has been telling people he would need a staggering £75 million to even consider moving out. The figure is so shocking that Shooter joked he had to pause and take a sip of water just to process it. Whether exaggerated or not, these reports paint a picture of a man struggling to let go of privilege, clashing with a brother trying to modernize and protect the monarchy. At its heart, the dispute is not just about a house. It is about identity, entitlement, and the difficult reality of life after royal favor fades. What escalated the rift between the brothers? Why would Charles be so hostile to his brother? Let's dive into the details of King Charles's reckoning on Andrew. A defining royal decision.
We also share with so many of you in the United Kingdom, in all the countries where the Queen was head of state.
King Charles III's decision to formally remove Prince Andrew's Duke of York and ask him to leave his longtime royal residence has been met with a wave of approval across Britain. For many observers, this move feels like a long-awaited response to a crisis that has hovered over the royal family for years. While some believe the action came late, there is broad agreement that it was necessary to protect the dignity, credibility, and moral standing of the monarchy. For a long time, Prince Andrew's connection to the late Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender, has been a deep source of discomfort for the public. Each new mention of the scandal reopened old wounds and raised questions about why the royal family appeared slow to act. Commentators, politicians, and much of the media have argued that the issue was no longer just about one individual, but about the image of the entire institution. By finally taking this decisive step, King Charles signaled that the monarchy could no longer afford to appear hesitant or defensive. This decision did not come out of nowhere. Over the years, Buckingham Palace has made several efforts to quietly distance itself from Andrew. In 2019, he stepped back from public duties following a BBC interview that was widely criticized for its tone and lack of sensitivity. The interview did more harm than good, leaving many viewers shocked and unconvinced. Then, in 2022, Queen Elizabeth II removed his military titles and royal patronages, a move seen as firm but still incomplete. More recently, Prince Andrew announced that he would stop using the Duke of York title in public. Even then, critics felt the gesture was symbolic rather than meaningful. King Charles appears to have reached the conclusion that half measures were no longer enough. The continued presence of Andrew within royal spaces, especially his heavily subsidized residence, became a growing point of anger. Many people questioned why public resources were still being used to support someone so closely linked to scandal. At the same time, renewed media investigations and rising debate in Parliament kept the issue firmly in the public eye. Protests even began to target the king directly, increasing the pressure on the palace to act clearly and decisively. What makes this move even more striking is its rarity. Stripping a prince of a royal title is extremely uncommon in British history. The last comparable action took place during World War I, when titles were removed for reasons of national loyalty. That historical parallel highlights just how serious the palace believes the situation has become. This was not a routine adjustment, but a deliberate statement about values, responsibility, and boundaries. Buckingham Palace has emphasized that the decision was taken despite Prince Andrew's continued denial of the allegations against him. The focus, according to palace sources, was not on legal guilt or innocence, but on the wider harm to the monarchy's reputation. Across political parties, reactions have been largely supportive. Many leaders have said the monarchy needed to show clear moral distance from Andrew, and just as importantly, empathy and respect for those who have spoken about abuse. The situation intensified further with the release of new claims in a posthumous memoir by Virginia Giuffre, which reignited public debate and strengthened calls for action. For many, this moment now feels like a turning point. It suggests a shift toward greater accountability and transparency within an institution often seen as slow to change. In the end, King Charles's decision sends a powerful message. The monarchy's future depends not only on tradition, but on trust. By taking a firm stand, the king has signaled that protecting the institution means making difficult choices, even when they involve members of his own family. Whether this step fully restores public confidence remains to be seen, but few doubt that it marks a significant and defining moment in the modern history of the British royal family. Which situation birthed the unfortunate decision of the king on Andrew? Why was Andrew punished severely? Let's dig into the details of Andrew's ties with Epstein. The royal scandal. Prince Andrew's long-standing association with Jeffrey Epstein gradually became one of the most controversial chapters of his public life. Epstein was a wealthy American financier whose carefully polished image collapsed in 2008 when he pleaded guilty to charges related to exploiting an underage girl. Although Epstein served a short jail sentence, his name continued to surface in disturbing stories involving powerful and influential figures. Prince Andrew was among those whose friendship with Epstein later drew intense public scrutiny. In December 2010, this connection became impossible to ignore when Prince Andrew was photographed strolling through New York's Central Park with Epstein. The image, taken during an official visit to the United States, sparked outrage and confusion. Many questioned why a senior member of the British royal family would maintain visible ties with a man already convicted of serious crimes. Public unease grew rapidly, and pressure mounted on the British government and the palace to respond. By July 2011, the controversy had reached a tipping point. Amid growing criticism and concern over his judgment, Prince Andrew was removed from his role as the United Kingdom's Special Trade Envoy. Although no legal charges were brought against him at the time, the damage to his public reputation was already significant. His continued association with Epstein, even after Epstein's conviction, was widely viewed as a serious lapse in judgment. The situation escalated further in December 2014, when a court filing in Florida reignited global attention. Lawyers Bradley J. Edwards and Paul G. Castle submitted documents linked to a civil case involving Epstein. In those papers, Prince Andrew was named alongside several high-profile individuals who were alleged to have been involved in misconduct with a minor. The individual at the center of the allegations was later identified as Virginia Giuffre, who claimed she had been trafficked by Epstein while still a teenager. These allegations placed Buckingham Palace under renewed pressure. In January 2015, calls for a clear explanation grew louder across media outlets and the public. The palace firmly denied all accusations, stating clearly that any suggestion of inappropriate behavior involving minors was completely false. This denial was repeated consistently, even as public debate continued. Virginia Giuffre publicly claimed that she encountered Prince Andrew on multiple occasions when she was underage, including during a visit to London in 2001. She also said similar encounters took place in the United States and the Caribbean. According to her account, these meetings were arranged by Epstein and his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. Giuffre further alleged that she was given money after one such encounter. These claims, though strongly denied by Prince Andrew, added another layer of seriousness to the unfolding story. Supporting Giuffre's claims were travel records showing that both she and Prince Andrew were present in the same places at the times she described. There was also a widely circulated photograph showing Prince Andrew standing with Giuffre, his arm around her, while Ghislaine Maxwell appeared in the background. While this image became one of the most discussed pieces of evidence in the case, Prince Andrew's supporters argued that it had been altered or taken out of context. In April 2015, a legal development offered Prince Andrew some relief. A U.S. federal judge ruled that the allegations made against him in the Florida court documents should be removed from the public record, citing legal technicalities. Importantly, this ruling did not determine whether the claims were true or false, but it reduced their official visibility. Years later, in August of 2019, the controversy resurfaced once again. Newly released court documents from a defamation case involving Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell revealed another allegation. A woman named Johanna Joberg claimed that Prince Andrew had behaved inappropriately while posing for a photograph with a puppet made in his likeness at Epstein's residence. As before, Prince Andrew denied any wrongdoing. Together, these events transformed Prince Andrew's public image, turning him from a working royal into a deeply controversial figure. Whether viewed through legal rulings, public opinion, or unanswered questions, his connection to Epstein remains one of the most troubling and closely examined royal controversies of modern times. Aside from the scandal, was there any allegation against Andrew that affected the royal family? What was he accused of? Let's talk about the racist allegations against Andrew. Allegations of racist remarks. Shadow Prince Andrew. Rohan Silva, who once worked as an aide at Downing Street, made a startling claim about Prince Andrew's behavior during a meeting in 2012. According to Silva, during their conversation, Andrew allegedly made a comment that many would find deeply offensive. Silva recalled that the prince said, "Well, if you'll pardon the expression, that really is the nigger in the woodpile." The remark, loaded with a racial slur, immediately raised eyebrows and sparked significant concern about Andrew's judgment and awareness of appropriate language. The phrase itself, though historically used to refer to an overlooked problem or hidden obstacle, carries highly offensive racial connotations in modern times, making the alleged remark particularly troubling. Silva's claim added to a growing number of accusations suggesting that the prince might have engaged in racially insensitive or outright racist language on multiple occasions. The issue did not end there. Another high-profile figure, Jackie Smith, who served as the United Kingdom's Home Secretary, also came forward with her own experience. She alleged that during a state dinner held in 2007 for the Saudi royal family, Prince Andrew had made a disparaging comment about Arabs. Smith's recollection painted a picture of a prince who, in formal and highly scrutinized public settings, may have allowed prejudiced remarks to escape his lips. State dinners, especially those attended by members of royal families and heads of state, are highly ceremonial and meticulously orchestrated events where diplomacy, tact, and decorum are paramount. For someone of Andrew's position to allegedly make a racially insensitive remark in such a context, Smith argued, was both shocking and inappropriate. Both these claims, Silva's from 2012 and Smith's from 2007, touched off waves of discussion in public and media circles. Observers noted that, if true, the incidents would suggest a pattern, or at least a troubling familiarity, with language and ideas that many consider offensive, discriminatory, or outright racist. Such allegations have the power to shape public perception, not only of Andrew as an individual, but also of the royal family as a whole, which has long positioned itself as a symbol of neutrality, tradition, and moral authority. Any suggestion that a senior royal could engage in language that many view as prejudiced raises complex questions about privilege, accountability, and the standards to which members of the monarchy are held. In response to these allegations, Buckingham Palace issued clear denials. Official spokespeople stated that Prince Andrew had not used racist language on either of the occasions cited by Silva or Smith. The palace's statements emphasized that the prince was committed to upholding the dignity and decorum expected of a senior member of the royal family. They characterized the claims as misrepresentations or misunderstandings, though the lack of direct evidence and the public nature of the statements left room for ongoing speculation and debate. The juxtaposition of these serious accusations with the palace's denials has kept the stories alive in public discourse. It has fueled discussion not only about Prince Andrew's personal conduct, but also about the wider challenges facing institutions like the monarchy in maintaining relevance and credibility in a modern, socially conscious society. Critics argue that even the suggestion of such remarks, if repeated, can erode trust, particularly when the institution is supposed to model respect, fairness, and equality. Supporters, however, point to the official denials as evidence that the claims are either exaggerated or taken out of context, framing them as unfortunate lapses in memory or interpretation rather than deliberate offenses. Ultimately, these allegations, whether fully accurate or not, highlight the fragile intersection between private behavior, public expectation, and historical language. They serve as a reminder that words, especially from those in positions of power and visibility, carry weight, and that the court of public opinion is often as unforgiving as formal adjudication. For Prince Andrew, the claims made by Silva and Smith remain part of a complex narrative that continues to spark debate about accountability, privilege, and the lingering impact of racially insensitive language in contemporary society. Could there be other crimes that the public hated Andrew for? Was it related to his action, views, or personality? Let's find out. The untold temper of Prince Andrew. During a 4-day tour of Southern California in 1984, Prince Andrew stunned reporters in an unforgettable, if not shocking, display. In a bizarre outburst, he squirted paint at American and British journalists and photographers covering his visit. The stunt left many of them splattered and their equipment damaged. Rather than showing any hint of remorse, Andrew reportedly turned to Los Angeles County Supervisor Kenneth Hahn and cheerfully remarked, "I enjoyed that." The incident quickly escalated into a financial matter, with the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner sending a $1,200 bill to the British consulate to cover the costs of ruined clothing and equipment. What might have been a minor embarrassment for a royal turned into a headline-grabbing moment, offering a glimpse of Andrew's notoriously unpredictable temperament. Andrew's abrasive and demanding nature was not limited to high-profile public events. It extended into the private world of Buckingham Palace and those who served him. The Guardian noted in 2022 that his brusque, often cruel, treatment of household staff was widely observed. One senior footman, speaking to an undercover reporter, revealed that waking Andrew in the morning could provoke a sharp, profanity-laced rebuke with a curt, often replacing a polite, "Good morning." Former Royal Protection Officer Paul Page recalled in an ITV documentary the unusual intensity of Andrew's quirks, noting that the prince kept a collection of 50 to 60 stuffed toys. These weren't just decorative items. If the maids failed to arrange them exactly to his liking, Andrew would shout and scream and become verbally abusive, transforming a simple chore into a source of fear. Page, whose later life included a conviction for fraud, painted a broader picture of Andrew's daily life. According to him, various women visited Andrew almost every day, and his temper was notoriously short. When one woman was denied entry by security, Andrew reportedly called a palace officer a fat, lardy cunt over the phone. Page concluded bluntly, "He's a bully." These accounts suggest that Andrew's behavior was marked by aggression, impatience, and a willingness to intimidate anyone who did not meet his expectations. Former palace maid Charlotte Briggs provided further testimony that illustrated the prince's eccentricities and lack of empathy. Briggs recalled spending time meticulously arranging the teddy bears on Andrew's bed. In one particularly telling incident, when his Norfolk Terrier bit her in 1996, Andrew laughed and appeared completely unconcerned. She also described being reduced to tears after being scolded for not closing the heavy curtains in his office properly. Briggs's reflections highlighted a striking contrast between Andrew and other members of his family. While his brothers, Charles and Edward, displayed far less volatility, and his father was remembered as so nice and gentlemanly, Andrew's treatment of staff was often harsh and unyielding. Andrew's disregard for boundaries extended beyond household management. Emma Gruenbaum, a massage therapist, recalled that he made repeated sexual remarks during their appointments, asking intrusive questions about her private life. These sessions, which continued over a period of 2 months, were marked by uncomfortable and inappropriate discussions. Although Gruenbaum noted that the behavior seemed to stop when it became clear that she would not comply with his advances. Even when it came to matters of royal protocol, Andrew's impatience and temper were evident. According to Andrew Loney's 2025 book entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, the prince reprimanded a palace employee for failing to address his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, with the correct title, calling the employee a imbecile. Another employee described Andrew as prone to sudden emotional swings, capable of exploding with anger 1 minute and then attempting to take it back the next. Taken together, these accounts paint a vivid portrait of a man whose public charm often masked a private volatility. From the chaos of splattered paint in California to tantrums over teddy bears and curt rebukes for protocol errors, Andrew's behavior toward staff, professionals, and even royalty demonstrates a complex mix of entitlement, aggression, and unpredictability that has long fascinated and unsettled those around him. So, what do you think about King Charles' rift with Andrew? Will Andrew really be prevented from attending Charles's funeral? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.